All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Mikey Garcia, Gervonta Davis, and Regis Prograis and potential fights at 140 pounds. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be about Gervonta Tank Davis and Mikey Garcia. And Mikey Garcia saying that he'd be interested in a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, even though he is in negotiations with Regis Prograis. But I think the conversation brings up something very interesting about Mayweather Promotions. But before we get into the meat of the conversation, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Also, hit the like button, hit the share. It really does do it's very important to the channel and it helps it grow. Thank you very much in advance. So let's talk about this. Gervonta Tank Davis is most definitely one of the biggest stars in boxing, or he's becoming one of the biggest stars in boxing. Definitely the biggest star in boxing of the little guys, guys that should be fighting below 135 pounds. But the problem with Gervonta Davis is that Gervonta Davis is promoted by Mayweather Promotions, and they have him on this cycle of fighting people that honestly, with the exception of Leo Santa Cruz, a lot of people don't want to see him fight, and missing out on a lot of fights that people do want to see him fight. And that's because they have him, or they're promoting him in the same, I call it the Mayweather method, the same fashion that they promoted Floyd Mayweather Jr. once Floyd Mayweather Jr. got his big Showtime contract. And what that is fighting fighters with Spanish last names and exclusively, and flat-footed fighters that are beatable with Spanish last names. So what you see is Gervonta Davis fighting guys like Yuriokis Gamboa, Hugo Chavez. I can't remember what Cuellar's first name is. Then you have him up now at 140 fighting Mario Barrios, right? So that is the method that they have. However, I think what we're going to see also is if Mikey Garcia is really pushing this fight, that they also are just protecting Gervonta Davis a little bit from guys that have a potential to fight him. Now, and the reason I say that is because if Mikey Garcia is interested in fighting him, he fits that equation perfectly. But before we get there, I do have to acknowledge that Mikey Garcia, and this is a fight that I'm really looking forward to, I hope is getting made, is currently in negotiations with Regis Prograis for a fight at 140. And I think that fight would set up the winner to get a shot at Josh Taylor for his undisputed title. That's what I'm hoping that these guys are doing. And I hope that Mikey Garcia does, because I believe that Mikey Garcia is really a 140-pound fighter. And Gervonta Davis, on the other hand, is really a 130-pounder. But what he's doing is, and I'm talking about him, his promoters, what they're doing is that they're doing this thing where they're moving up and down weight classes and claiming greatness while they don't fight the best fighters at the weight classes that they go to. So Mario Barrios, I saw Mario Barrios on an undercard for Gervonta Davis when he fought Leo Santa Cruz. And I thought to myself, Mario Barrios is a good fighter, but Regis Prograis was going to kill a dude, because that's what it was. That's what they were setting up. They were setting up at the time, supposed to be setting up a fight between Mario Barrios and Regis Prograis. And I was like, man, Regis Prograis is going to mop the floor with Mario Barrios. He's just not that good. He's not that good a fighter. That's what I saw. And I'm not saying he's a poor fighter. I'm just saying he's not that good a fighter. So Gervonta Davis beating him, I was like, okay, he beat him. That was kind of foreseeable that Gervonta could beat him, but I don't think that really truly reflects what Gervonta Davis's standing is, in the 140-pound division because because Mario Barrios is not one of the top 140 guys. The top 140 guys are Josh Taylor, guys like Regis Prograis, guys like Mikey Garcia. So when Mikey Garcia says that he'd be interested to fight him, you know what kind of reception you're probably going to get from Mayweather Promotions, even though it is perfectly exactly what they say that they want to do. Because if you look at it, if Mikey Garcia, because that's what they said that they want to do, they want to make the biggest fights with Gervonta. Well, I don't know too many fights that are out there for Gervonta that are bigger than the Mikey Garcia fight. Mikey Garcia is definitely a pay-per-view. It's definitely a pay-per-view fight. So in Texas, he's Mexican, and so in Texas, if the calculations are right, you should be able to sell out an arena in Texas for Mikey Garcia versus Gervonta. Of course, Gervonta would be the A side in the fight, but the gate is there. The pay-per-view numbers will also be there, and I'm sure, just like Gary Russell Jr. said about the pay-per-view numbers, that the pay-per-views and numbers and the gates for Mikey Garcia would be much bigger than the ones for Mario Barrios. So if you're trying to make the big fights, then it would seem that Mikey Garcia would be a guy that you would look towards, right? However, I doubt very much that he would be allowed to take that fight, and that is because Mikey Garcia is too big for Gervonta Davis. So he's very long, and he has excellent timing, a jab and a straight right hand, an excellent straight right hand, and he should be able to keep Gervonta Davis at bay. If he fights like he fought Mario Barrios, which is staying on the outside and staying away from the shots from the bigger man until he can find a gap, well, he'll be doing that all night against Mikey Garcia, and Mikey Garcia is not going to give him any gaps. There's not going to be any him stepping it up and stepping to Mikey Garcia and handing and landing big bombs to get Mikey Garcia out of there. First of all, Mikey Garcia's got a chin, so I doubt very much that Gervonta is just going to take him out with one shot. Now, I wouldn't doubt that he could hurt him because Gervonta can crack, but if you look at how that matchup is, that's not a fight more than likely that Mayweather's going to take. So it's not just about and this is what I would say. I think it's not just about making big fights. It's also about making big fights that Gervonta Davis can win, so that you can continue and have the next event after the next event after the next event, which in my opinion is what's wrong with boxing, because these guys won't get in there with the best fighters. Now, into Gervonta's defense, I'm not saying Gervonta needs to fight Mikey Garcia. What I'm saying Gervonta should do is stay in the weight class that he's in and beat everybody in that weight class, and not jump up from, okay, well, I'll be at 130 this fight against this guy, and then the next fight I'll be up at 140 and I'll fight that guy. The next one I'll be at 135 and I'll fight that guy. He's got 3 belts in 3 weight divisions. However, 2 of them are secondary belts that don't really matter. So anyway, I just thought that was very interesting that Mikey Garcia says that he'd be open to fight him, because you know what the political situation would be around that fight. That's my take on that matter. You let me know what you think, and with that, I'm out. Peace.